Welcome to Studio Memoirs. I hope you're all doing great. It's a very cold night here in Pennsylvania. It's about minus 20 degrees below freezing, so I've got my hat on, I've got my woolly on and all that stuff. And tonight we're going to talk about Ian Brown sessions that I did. Wonderful album ended up, Music of the Spheres. Brilliant album. And in order to give you a full insight into it, we've got to go back in time a bit. If we go back to like way back, I mean like when It Bites were just starting off, there was 3 young kids up in Cumbria. They were called John, Wayne and Dave. You probably know John and Wayne, but you don't know Dave was on the end of that as well. John and Wayne are a kind of Cumbrian folk duo. They're just brilliant, John and Wayne. If you haven't checked John and Wayne out, go check them out. They're brilliant. But Dave was part of that too. So there was John, Wayne and Dave. And they all used to love Depeche Mode. So they had keyboards and they'd watch It Bites and they loved It Bites and all that stuff. And they wanted to be like us and all that stuff. And Dave left or something like that. I don't know what he did. He left. But a few years later, Dave was actually in the music industry in London. He was trying to, get a breakthrough. And I said to him, why don't you come with me to Nashville? We both flew over from London. I said, come with me from Nashville. We're going to record this album in Nashville. Let's go do that. And you can work the Pro Tools. Because I had a Pro Tools rig back then. Me and Chris Hughes were the first people to buy Pro Tools in England. Literally the first people, me and Chris, we got the first shipments in. And it was like 20 grand for the Pro Tools rig back then. And it was like 2.5 grand just for a 1 gigabyte drive. So it was expensive stuff. And so we flew over there. Dave learned how to work Pro Tools basically. In the studio with me and Richard Dodd. Richard was a great producer. He was kind of in that like Tom Petty scene, the travelling Wilburys. He was doing all that, and so when me and Dave got over there, we set up our own studio and we recorded it on Pro Tools. That's what we did. And so when we finished the Tall Blonde Helicopter album, I said to Dave, "Listen, you just keep the rig because I don't need it anymore. Just keep it and see what happens." So he got the rig and he started to get work. People would say, like, can you edit this for us? Or can you do this? Or can you do that? And then he got a job in Psalm Studios editing for Trevor Horn because he knew how to do it. And he was working with Seal and he was doing like huge hit records, like even everything from like Seal to like Stock Aitken and Waterman to like the Spice Girls. Like, he was all that. And Dave was getting all the work. It was unbelievable. And then, and so me and Dave he come and did the Man album for me. Dave did the programming on the Man album, which is actually brilliant what he did. He always has a way, Dave, of doing like his own version of it. Like, he's not one of them he's not like, I just put presets on and I go, fuck it. And I just, piano 1, I just do that. I'm one of them. He won't do that. He has to tamper with it or he has to put something on it. He's into that stuff. And so he did the Man album and then he got the job producing Ian Brown. I don't actually know how he got that, but it's probably, through his network, because he was heavily involved in the industry at that point. He was like, he had an agent. Them guys had like managers, like them programmer guys. They had like managers. They had an agent. It was all that stuff. And so, so Dave says, I got a call from him, and he said, "You need to come down to the studio and help me out with this Ian Brown album." I said, "Well, what's up?" I said, "I've done the album, and and it's." I really like it, I like what it's doing, but I need something to glue it all together. And come down and have a listen. So I go down to the studio. It was about a 4 or 5 day session, I think, and we just worked on the album parts and on the guitar parts, which were pretty weird, actually. There was some pretty weird things on it, but really good. Like it was like a unique session. It wasn't just like a regular session. It was definitely like a weird session. In a good way. I don't mean weird in like a weird way. Like in a really good way. It was like, it was challenging, but it was really interesting because I was being asked to do like, to come up with parts that were like a bit whacked out. And so I did them. Ian would just come down every night, and always pleasant, always very pleasant. Ian was like a family man. I loved old Ian. He was all right. And he'd just come down and get stoned out of his mind and kind of, he used to always be very complimentary about my songs. I remember Ian, and it was always when he would say that I sang in my own accent. That was the big thing he used to say to me all the time. "I fucking like that fucking song, mate. You're singing in your own fucking accent. Good lad, mate." He was doing all that stuff. And but he didn't say a word when I was playing. He just, at the end of the night, when he got up to leave, we were still working. He'd come down for like 3 or 4 hours every night, and then when he got up to leave, and he'd just go like, "Here, Francis, fucking kill her, mate, kill her," and then just go walk out. So I didn't really have, I wasn't. There's no like real, there's no real stories about it. He would just get stoned and start talking, and I wouldn't know what he was talking about. He'd just go like, "Yeah, they came down to Man City, and they put fucking dinosaurs under the thing, and they couldn't find out what the fucking hell he was doing in the fucking blah, blah." And I just sat there, and I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, But it was like, it was like that. Very nice man, very, very nice man. And he's talented in a weird way, in a very weird way. This type of talent you can get like that theatrical talent. There's like that, like theatre school and all, it's like, there's all that type of thing. And then there's people who are just like odd. They're just like, they're odd. They come at things in a weird way. He was very unconscious, Ian. I thought he was very, very unconscious type of guy, where he would lift things from the unconscious. I remember he had songs like, Dolphins Were Monkeys, which I completely know where that comes from. I understand his references to that. But he had a lot of lyrics like that were all unconscious. And I remember he had one particular song called Fear, because the album was a fucking huge hit. And so was and this song, Fear, was a single. It was a hit single. It was way up the charts. I can't remember what number it got to. But every line in the song is FEAR. Find everybody and rule. Forget everything and remember. For everything as a reason. It was all just... And I didn't realise that until ages later. I'm looking at the lyrics, and it's FEAR, FEAR. And I'm just going, oh, wow. That's what he did with that song. And so it was like, it was brilliant in its own way like that. It was really good. And... very different way, very different from what I'd worked with in the past. It was because the whole Stone Roses thing, where he comes from, that bypassed me. I couldn't tell you one Stone Roses song. I mean, everybody in England just like, the fucking Roses, man, fucking hell, Roses, I don't know one song. I've never heard a Stone Roses song. I don't even know what the fuck they sound like. I really don't. I don't know. There's like one Oasis song I know. I don't really know any of them. And all that stuff like, like Pearl Jam, or there's whole banks of music. I've never heard the songs. The Stone Temple Pilots, I've never heard of them. I don't even know what they go like. So the Stone Roses were one of them. And when I met Ian, and when we, because he, for those of you who don't know, Ian is like the hippest northern guy in England. Like he was like the fucking, he was like the business. Everybody's like Ian Brown. The guys from Oasis fucking idolise him. They idolise him. They're all over him like all the time. And so Ian's like, Mr. Hipster. I don't know whether he still is. I'm sure he is. But back then he was. And so this was in his prime, Ian, in his solo prime. And he had a huge hit. That record was fucking huge. And it was, I just remember all the weird guitar parts. If you want to have a listen to it, go and check it out. It's probably on iTunes or something. But there's some really, there's some really fucking cool things on that album. Just by the approach to to what it was, and imagine if you put 4 metal guys together, you get like a metal thing, right? Or you put 4 jazzers together, you get like a jazz thing. Well, there was like 4 fucking weirdos that David put together. And I was one of them. It was, and I'm standing there like a big fat bastard, because I'm so like not in the music industry. It's embarrassing sometimes. I look at, because like to be in the music industry, at least if you want to work in the music industry, you got to have like a blonde hair, a few spikes in, and there's like a t-shirt you can wear, and a couple of, there's like them lads who do all that. You know what I mean? They're always in them bands. You see them. It's like, oh, there's the lad. Look at, he's got that haircut. It's like the muso's uniform, like a nice little spiky haircut, maybe like a chain on or something, or like a couple of tattoos maybe, and it's that type of thing. It's just a uniform. Well, I don't wear the fucking uniform. I look like a fucking psychopath with all that stuff. I look like an illegal immigrant taxi driver or something like that, from like fucking Russia or something. But anyway, so that album, I think, was it was a joy to go and work on it. I didn't make the album. I just did 5 days on a session, and I hung out with Ian for 5 days. I've hung out with him plenty of times after that. I played a few live shows with him as well. But the session itself was just an absolute joy, huge success, like massive success. I was man enough for that job for definite. And you know, and Dave, went on to do all sorts of people. He's worked with everybody. You know, it all stemmed from that Pro Tools rig way back in the day on Tall Blonde Helicopter. It's amazing the path, we take in life when you get an opportunity and walk through the door. It's absolutely amazing. So that was my Ian Brown story. It's not very, there's not a lot of action on it, but that's where that album come from. It came from a Pro Tools rig. It came from a young guy wanted to be in Depeche Mode all the way through to Ian's record, and then 4 psychopaths in a room playing some weird music, but hit music and great music. So go check it out. And that's my studio memoirs for tonight. Please press the subscribe button. I'm going to be on tour by the time you guys see this, so I'm just trying to get a few done tonight so that I can, I can keep releasing my videos. So please press the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next studio memoirs coming up real soon. Thank you.